According to a recent Forbes estimate, the price of XRP is expected to surpass $58,000 by the end of 2025. Given that it is presently November and we are discussing January, this means that XRP's price will rise to approximately $60,000 in less than 60 days. Numerous articles and other sites have also reported on it. For instance, Forbes has verified a price of $60,000 per XRP in this study, which is supported and validated by Google. This is nothing new, but the enormous inflow that will occur in the next days will set off the tremendous $60,000 per XRP bull run that is predicted to occur by the end of 2025. And this is where it all begins. According to Forbes, they believe Ripple will completely transform the payment industry, outperforming Swift. They even point out that the $650 trillion market will be served by Ripple's $180 billion business plan. It is significant because it signals that enormous sums of money will soon start to move into XRP and the XRP ledger. Consequently, the price per XRP will have to skyrocket due to insufficient supply. They don't tell you this because big, powerful firms like JP Morgan, BlackRock, and many more don't want you to know. For instance, Swift and Ripple are now working toward an agreement to use XRP for international payments. We are discussing the use of billions of XRP that are escrow secured as liquidity. These institutions now realize that XRP is essentially necessary to enable transactions, and there won't be enough of it to go around. XRP will now be used for transactions that previously used Swift. Indeed, the price of XRP has decreased. We've spoken about 5% in the past 24 hours, but look at what the charts have shown us about history. You need a retracement if you want a huge breakout. For example, look at the earlier instances. It is evident that XRP had a run from 3 cents to over 35 cents prior to the largest bull run. After a retracement, we experienced the biggest split ever. Additionally, something such to this is currently developing just in front of us. The biggest bull run in XRP history is going to start, and officials Forbes and Numis have all corroborated the same thing. The funds are moving and will soon be included into XRP and the XRP ledger. And big organizations like JP Morgan and BlackRock are aware of it. Look at this. According to reports, BlackRock and JP Morgan are indeed purchasing XRP with an anticipated investment of $9 trillion. BlackRock has $9 trillion invested in XRP. Imagine that $9 trillion are flowing into XRP, which has a $100 billion supply. Of that amount, you have about $50 billion locked up in escrow, leaving you with only about $50 billion left. This will result in a supply shock for XRP alone, but not all reports have confirmed leaked reports. In fact, JP Morgan is also receiving an accumulating amount of XRP. Take a look at the report in front of you. In 2016, JP Morgan actually created a UCITS, which functions similarly to an XRP accumulation fund. In other words, JP Morgan began amassing a significant amount of XRP in 2016. It may sound crazy, but the truth is that in 2016, XRP was starting at literally pennies. After that, it shot up to $3, its all-time high. However, when the lawsuit was filed, XRP fell back to the pennies. As a result, we are currently witnessing a huge volume of purchases from these establishments. In order to accumulate as much XRP as possible, they are manipulating the market to keep the price of XRP low. Once this accumulation ceases, the price of XRP will rise, allowing them to sell it for a very high price. You must also realize that many of these institutions do not use XRP as an investment, but rather mandate its use. For instance, JP Morgan pays high cost to process large payments and enables payments on a huge scale. They don't have to pay anything near now since they wish to use XRP for payments. We're discussing how they formerly paid thousands of dollars. To enable transactions, they currently have to pay pennies, but XRP is necessary for them to be able to do so. Since they need to accumulate as much XRP as possible at the lowest possible price for their actual use case, it makes perfect sense for them to do so. This way, they avoid having to pay millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars to accumulate XRP once it is in the thousands because they want to use it again. Instead, they are attempting to cheaply amass XRP at the lowest possible rate, so that when they need it, and start facilitating and using it, they will undoubtedly have enough of it. As a result, the price of XRP will rise due to their transactions, which total 100 trillions. They won't need to purchase any more XRP, but the price will skyrocket and be set at $10,000 or $20,000. This is the reason we wanted to strive to accumulate, isn't it right? Because if institutions are building up, a significant event is imminent and will happen rapidly. And for that reason, whenever Forbes publishes an article like the one they did, essentially stating that XRP will reach $58,000 by the end of 2026, they removed it and replaced it with a new piece titled Inside Ripple's $180 billion Invention. Clearly, a significant event is developing on the XRP ledger and will shortly occur for XRP. And there's precisely a reason for it. As you can see, banks are adopting XRP on a large scale as a result of being officially authorized to use it. However, a huge new market is set to join the XRP ledger, one that will soon allow the XRP ledger to receive approximately $654.39 trillion in market inflow. And it will take place through the Real token, which is based on the XRPL and makes use of a company called RealFi. You see, the money is going to change here. This project right here, the Real token, which is actually only 3 cents in price, is helping the XRP ledger get a huge market. Guys, it's only been 3 months, but it's already growing significantly from 0.001 to almost 0.03. And that is with literally pure utility, without a single central exchange or mass marketing campaign. Therefore, a project that is truly solving a huge multi-trillion-dollar problem for 3 cents is too cheap. Imagine that you can currently accumulate a gigantic multi-trillion-dollar answer to a massive multi-trillion-dollar problem. And once more, picture this item being offered on easily accessible sites. When you consider it, a real-world asset market is the outcome of ritual. Speaking of real-world assets, resolving a multi-trillion-dollar issue, a multi-trillion-dollar market, and hundreds of trillions that are actually developing through a project rated for a rise. This is where it enters the XRP ledger, isn't it? Because that's what causes this to occur. Ritual is clearly the solution to this issue, facilitating all of this money, but it's also taking place directly on the XRP ledger, which simply makes things a lot simpler and better. This is where I obtained a huge bank of the stoking people. When you look at it from a broad view, a lot of money will flow, but there won't be enough to go around because Phase 1 supplies 22 million, and the next one is 1 billion. You're talking about billions of dollars in demand, but not enough supply? Hence, the price will skyrocket as soon as this product is placed on a big central exchange platform. We are discussing experts here, and people are speculating. Look at this, experts and analysts. If I show you a handful of these, specialists and analysts are actually predicting that the actual token, which is currently only worth 3 cents, would increase to more than $65,000. Why? Because there is insufficient supply. Just 1% of the $650 trillion market actually enters it. This is the reason I reiterate that I am not a financial advisor and that you should conduct your own research. But this is a fantastic opportunity to do so because, as I have mentioned, these opportunities are rare and once in a lifetime, but generational wealth can and probably will be created. Once more, you're discussing solutions that cost billions of dollars. Really? This is where the funds will go, and it has been formally stated. On December 5th, there will be a huge consolidated exchange listing. As December 5th approaches, the price will in fact keep rising. Therefore, this is really your chance to gather as much as you can before the deadline comes around because it will be too late by then. It will be completed. Guys, here's when generational differences come into play. Thus, once more, the moment has arrived. In that case, it really is a now or never situation. Once more, these are not financialized. Always conduct your own study, but you can certainly look them up. All of the links will remain in the description. And once more, you're referring to the enormous organization, Real Tokens, BankBank, and RealFi,